Hello, welcome to the first episode ever of Fan Out Podcast, a show about AI search. I am Krista Doyle, co-host number 1.
And I'm Kaleigh Moore, co-host number 2.
And we really wanted to start this podcast as a way of just trying to sort through the noise for ourselves and for our broader, network and friends and clients of what is going on in AI search right now, trying to keep up with, separating useful information from hype and just really trying to help people figure out like what is actually going on and how we can all approach this new era of search in the best way possible.
Yeah, we're all figuring it out. We're all learning.
And we wanted the first episode to be a little bit of a banger.
Yeah,
so
splashy.
We have a special guest for episode 1.
Yes.
Welcome Mr. Nick Lafferty from Profound.
Hi, thank you all so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here and that the timing worked out of me being in Austin. I could sit down with y'all.
Totally.
So exciting.
I would love, for our audience, tell us a little bit about you and your role at Profound. And then honestly, you've been there for about a year now, the craziest year ever. Tell us what that has been like for you.
Yeah, so I'm the head of growth marketing at Profound. I joined right when we closed our Series A funding round in May of last year. I was employee number 20-ish. And since then, I've helped us announce the Series A, Series B, and Series C all within a 10-month period, which that in itself is a wild ride.
That is insane.
Wild statement. Marketing in Profound at the early days was just me and James, our co-founder and CEO. And I'd walk into the office some days and he'd be like, hey, tomorrow I want to take out an ad, a full page ad in the New York Times.
Oh my gosh.
I'd be like, James, great idea. Excellent. But I need just a little more time, a little more help. But that's kind of the power of a dynamic founder like that, is he just can kind of bend the universe and bend reality. And so, anyway,
Incredible.
Profound, we help companies understand, control, and scale how they show up in AI search.
Nice.
Awesome.
Nice. And I'm curious, for you, obviously we are all everything is changing. This is overwhelming. What is happening? Has it been that way for you on being so on the inside of it all? And what has been kind of the most surprising shift you've seen over the past 12 months?
Yeah, I mean, I think working at any company like Profound that has grown as fast as we have is always kind of insane, to be perfectly honest with you. We're now 150 people versus 20-ish when I joined. And so that just adds a lot of interesting challenges and opportunities too. But the space itself has changed a lot. I think when I joined, everything was still brand new. Our employee number 3, his name is Josh. He spoke at Brighton SEO in April of last year. And when he spoke, he was literally the only one talking about AI search.
Wow.
Now you go to Brighton, it's every talk is about AI search. And so what worked for us from a marketing and research and data perspective back then is shifting and changing now. And so we're kind of having to adapt and grow now that the market is growing. Lots more people are talking about AI search. There's lots of noise on LinkedIn. And so now our job is, how do we cut through the noise still now that everyone's talking about it, and then have a product that people love too.
Yeah.
I have a question about the noise, if I can hop in here.
Of course.
So there is a lot of noise on LinkedIn right now. A lot of people are kind of coming in with their hot takes and their perspectives on what's working and what's not when it comes to AI search. What are some of the top ones that you would like to cut through the noise on, if we had to pick maybe 1 to 3?
Yeah, so there's 2 that come to mind.
Okay.
One is that you need a bunch of, you should duplicate your site in markdown content.
Oh.
Have y'all seen this, where you make a duplicate site?
I've heard of this.
Yeah.
You only show it to AI crawlers, and you show a normal HTML website to humans, which just feels like cloaking to me from back in the old SEO days.
Yes.
And so that doesn't make sense to me. You're putting all this research or resources into making a different markdown version of your site. We tested this. We've in the background, we've been acquiring lots of websites that we can run AI search experiments
Super interesting.
on, and websites that have existing traffic and kind of random industries, domains. And so we've acquired a bunch of these and ran a randomized study of changing some of their content to markdown or not, and directing AI crawlers to the markdown or the HTML version of the site. And the TLDR is that we found no lift for any markdown content. So there's a link on our blog I can send you. We can put it in the show notes afterwards if you want. But that's definitely one thing I think is
Busted.
is noise. The other one, and there's like a bunch of AEO agencies out there. I don't want to like name names, but they will go out and create hundreds or thousands of new pages for AI search. And I've seen the case studies of like you get traffic for 2 months and then like the AI cliff happens and you just like all your traffic goes away. And so I try and caution people away from just like programmatically making tons of content with AI. And you still need good SEO principles. You know, EAT is still just as important now as it was back then. So both of those I think are kind of like two
Love
myths.
to hear it.
Yeah.
Louder for people in the back.
Yes.
Speaking of, you still need, you know, the SEO principles. I'm curious, there's this huge, you know, chatter all over LinkedIn and everything of SEO versus AEO, or is AEO just SEO with like a new name? And I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that. Like, is there actually a difference? And if so, like in your own words, how would you describe that difference?
Yeah. So I think there is a difference, but I think good AEO still relies on having good SEO foundation. So you can't have a solid AEO strategy without tons of like, you know, foundational SEO work behind it.
Yeah.
And so to me, the difference is for AEO, you're still fundamentally marketing to a human. Still, SEO, you're always marketing to a human, but you know, AEO, you have these user agents that are now going and visiting your website on behalf of a human, but it's still the human in ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever who's still, you know, reading and kind of consuming a lot of the content there. And so I think, yeah, good AEO relies on strong SEO principles, but the big difference is, to me, the speed at which AEO can change. Like I've published content and I've seen ChatGPT pick it up in a day and you get lots of citations within a day, which that feels crazy in SEO land. It would take weeks or months, if at all, for Google to like put you on page 1 or page 2 or something. And so the speed, I think, is the one thing that is much different about AEO.
That's something I've been noticing too. So I was kind of testing out like, what does ChatGPT say about me, you know, if I Google myself, and does it say what I want it to say? And I don't have a website. And so I did notice that it was saying what I wanted it to say about me, but it was because of an article that Superpath, shout out Superpath, had published about an AMA that we did about Reddit. And it had been live for like 9 hours, I think, and it was already showing up in ChatGPT. And I was like, whoa, that is pretty unheard of in like the old land. Yeah.
There were no quick wins, but now sometimes you get lucky and you can have a quick win, which is really nice.
And I think the opposite is true too, of like when OpenAI drops a new model, which all of these are surprises now. Like I think SEOs are used to Google like announcing things and saying, hey, a new spam update just came out, it'll roll out for 2 weeks. Like OpenAI is not doing that right now. And so a new model comes out and it can change the citations, the training data could be different. And so like overnight stuff could change for you. And I think that's new in this too.
That's actually leads us right into pretty much my next question, which is, you know, I feel like all of the marketing leaders that I've been talking to over the past several months, everybody's really nervous about all of these changes and these shifts that we're seeing. And everybody's just, you know, very anxious about the dropping clicks and just, you know, how everything has changed. And so I'm curious to know, like, from all the customers that you guys have and all the people that you talk to about this every single day, like, what is the biggest kind of like mental hurdle that marketers are needing to get over or struggling with when it comes to like adjusting to this new world?
Yeah. Here's my pitch. Okay. I think SEO, like the SEO job right now and all of the interest in SEO, AEO, whatever, makes SEOs sexy now. Like SEOs have never had this much attention and
true.
budget.
Oh my gosh, you're so right.
And interest in the space. And I think the SEOs that are doing it right are really leaning in to the moment and kind of like embracing that, hey, now my CEO cares how we show up in ChatGPT. People are buying tools like Profound, and you have budget and authority and maybe even developers to do all of these technical fixes that you've always wished you could have or had resources to do. And now you can. And so I think the right SEOs are leaning in and becoming a bit almost like project managers, kind of like for this moment, and finding ways to bring in their PR team, their comms team, product marketing, content, paid, and kind of figure out how to take all these things and do all of the fixes and website changes that you've always wanted to do. And now you have the interest and budget to go do those things.
I think that's really exciting because I feel like this is probably how it always should have been, where all these teams are working together. It's not just one team working on their objectives. They're all feeding each other. They're all working towards the goal of basically, do we own our topic across the internet? That feels like the name of the game now. Do you agree? Do you feel
Totally.
like it's all about topical ownership, or is it something else?
I think it's topical ownership and brand.
Yeah.
Too, I think brand is still becoming more important, if not like is the most important thing right now in AI search. And I think, now finding someone internally who can get buy-in to kind of own brand and tie brand into the value of AI search is important.
That is what I'm most excited about, because I feel like this was already happening. So I feel like over the past 10 years, I've been watching brand and SEO slowly, like that gap was just slowly narrowing with the introduction of things like, Google releasing the perspectives tabs. And then already we were seeing YouTube show up, Reddit show up, even like LinkedIn articles were showing up before AI. But I feel like AI just really like instantly closed that gap.
Yeah.
Which to me, it's like that makes our jobs better as SEOs, because I feel like I used to say like, I don't know, SEO always had this reputation of being a little bit like hacky or sketchy or whatever. I think back in the days when people would do like white text over white background and stuff. But I feel like this is like, we get to build a new reputation for, the SEO industry. And I just think it's very exciting. I feel like it's just such a call for quality that I think marketers were really thirsty for. And I'm just like, I don't know. I'm very excited about that aspect.
Speaking of quality, I have another question about that. So we have been talking for a long time about good content has EEAT. It does all the things that traditional SEO does well. What are the qualifiers you think about when you think about this is a great piece of content that LLMs will probably pick up? What are the characteristics of a really great piece of content in 2026?
Yeah, I mean, I think it still has to be written for humans. Ultimately, all of this content has to be written for humans still and consumable by humans, but also formatted in ways that we know LLMs like. So we know they like bullet points, lists, tables, FAQs, of course. And so I think like good content kind of combines what is good for a human, but in a way that we know AI agents can crawl and interpret in friendly ways. I think we're at the end of the self-promotional listicle as a piece of content that is good. It's just like such a hacky short-term thing that works now, but long-term like will never fly, I think. And so I think brands that went a little too far on like the listicle for every topic, self-promoting themselves first everywhere, I think will be in for an awakening when OpenAI finally figures out like, oh, we should have like our own version of a spam or helpful content update. I think that's coming and inevitable at some point, and it'll be a reckoning the same way like the early like Penguin updates or before were for Google too.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Kind of going back to what you were saying about, pulling in PR and brand and everything. For marketing leaders that are out there that are like, okay, I know that that's kind of what I need to be doing, and I know that we need to have all of these different stakeholders involved. Like, what would be your advice to them in terms of like, how do you approach making that happen? Like, who does this sit with ultimately, and who owns this ultimately?
Yeah, we screenshot emails from our prospects and customers often and put them in Slack to like communicate openly at Profound. And I saw one the other day where a CEO or CMO, was asking the same question of what person internally owns this function, this kind of like cross-functional thing. To give you all a bit of a tease, we have a strong POV here. We think that there's a role coming, a title called the marketing engineer, who will start to own and be kind of the central hub for all of this kind of work. They will have strong kind of like AI and agentic background, building systems and tooling for marketing teams, and to be the central kind of hub in this like hub and spoke model of like PR, content, comms, social, who kind of drives all of this forward. And so we think that's the future we see, where lots of marketers become AI native. I think SEOs are perfectly positioned to become more of a marketing engineer. SEO is very technical. You have these like massive screaming frog reports and gigantic CSVs of like searches and keywords and search volume that I think the right person using that with Claude and MCPs and other, tools, I think can be kind of the orchestrator of all of these systems.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. And yeah, I think it's going to be fascinating to kind of watch these new positions take off.
Yeah, I'm very curious about just like what the day to day will look like for someone in a role like that, because there is going to be a lot of cross functionality. You do have to have the technical piece to understand the data. There's a huge data component to this, and also the PR of it all, the earned mentions, the organic opportunities as well. So I feel like it's a really cool sewing together of kind of disparate worlds, but again, they probably always should have been collaborating and
Yeah.
working together. So yes, it's a lot of change and a lot of new things coming along and down the pipeline, but I think it's a net positive in a big way.
Yeah, I think it's someone who will manage like a fleet of agents.
Yes.
They'll
Yeah.
build and maintain agents
Yes.
that each have like individual jobs that they do. And so
Mhm.
the, SEO or marketing engineer job of the future is maybe not you doing a lot of the individual work, but you
Yeah.
build and manage an agent that's perfectly customized to your business, your needs, your brand kit, all of that. And so you like half of your job is doing that, and the other half is getting buy-in from the rest of your team to
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
hey, PR team, here's all the data we're seeing, here's all the citations in like your universe, and then the social team, because we see LinkedIn as being cited a lot
A
Yeah.
lot.
for
I was
B2B,
about to ask
Shout out to
B2B
LinkedIn.
queries. And so you have like your social team, your comms team,
Yeah.
and then you pull product marketing into that too, of like what's the right way we describe our product and all these different
Yeah.
dimensions. And I think that's what the marketing engineer does.
I definitely want to dig into the LinkedIn piece. So like my like bread and butter and all of this is the off-site stuff. And so I'm very curious to hear more about what you guys have been seeing with LinkedIn and how that has been impacting these AI search engines from
Yeah.
the B2B standpoint.
Yeah.
Here's some of this is like my personal opinion, not
Yeah.
not that are profound. Like,
Yeah.
I think someone at LinkedIn, some CMO or some person there saw Reddit in the news often of how
Mhm.
crucial Reddit has become to AI search.
Yeah.
And someone at LinkedIn or Microsoft was like, oh, I want that. Like, we have all this amazing content
Yeah. Why not
for
us?
B2B and professionals. Why
Yep.
not us? And so I think
Yep.
that kicked off a bunch of conversations
Mhm.
to
Yeah.
then now we're seeing LinkedIn is being cited a lot. It's both personal profiles, which I
Mm.
think is really interesting,
Yeah.
and then, of course, individual posts too.
Yeah.
We'd see LinkedIn Pulse as well. They're kind of like
Mm.
forgotten blogging
Yeah.
system
Yeah.
I do
is
forget
there.
about that
And so you'll see
sometimes.
some SEOs still writing Pulse articles on
Mm.
LinkedIn that are formatted like listicles because it
Mm.
does show up in citations too, but
Yeah.
we see
Interesting.
it a lot. And I think that's probably one of the better vectors for like B2B brands to kind of think about is it's not just LinkedIn organically and how that can help grow your business from leads, but also how it impacts your visibility
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
AI search too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of brand and LinkedIn, I'm personally having so much fun on LinkedIn lately. I'm seeing so much more personal content there, so much more video. I've seen a real pivot into that. I'm curious for you and for somebody who's working at a high profile company who's really probably well positioned to be a thought leader. Are you getting a push to do that more publicly on LinkedIn, or is it more spread across the landscape and LinkedIn is just one piece of many?
Totally. I mean, I think one of the things Profound does well is LinkedIn content.
Yeah.
When we announced our Series C last month, we had a whole orchestration system of how we would promote our post and all the stuff that goes into that. And so one of our muscles is LinkedIn content and using that
Nice.
to grow our business. I am a LinkedIn guy, quote unquote. Like
Yeah.
I've said this on LinkedIn. I enjoy it. It's the only social media I personally
Yeah.
use
It's great.
is LinkedIn. I have
Yeah.
like no Instagram, no Twitter. I mean, I do have those things, but like 2 posts
Yeah.
on them.
Yeah.
I've made friends on LinkedIn. I was
Mhm.
just at a conference. I'm in Austin to go to the spring conference
Mhm.
by winter, and
Yeah.
I describe that as the conference for people who post on LinkedIn too
Oh,
much. Like you
yeah.
go and
Incredible.
you see all the people that you know.
Yeah.
The
My
faces.
LinkedIn
Your internet
Yes,
friends.
yeah. And so like that's basically me to a T. And so I
Yeah.
think LinkedIn is the place to be.
First of all, I need to know your answer to this question. What do people at Profound call AI search? Is it AEO? Is it GEO? Is it
Great
AI
question.
search? What are we calling it?
Great
we
question.
strongly prefer AEO.
Okay.
AEO.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think GEO is too close to like geography.
Mm.
Fair.
You Google geo, you get like rocks. And also I think fundamentally like, places like LLMs like ChatGPT, these are answer engines. You ask it a question,
Right.
you get an answer back. And so I think answer engine optimization is much better. But
Yeah.
I see all these really awful AI written articles that say GEO is this and AEO is this, and they're separate. It's like there's just 2 different names for the same
Right.
thing. If you go back far enough in the Profound blog, you'll see a blog article from me in like July of last year where I kind of like put my flag in the
Nice.
ground. But
Glad to hear it.
AEO is what we prefer.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Did you have
No, I was just gonna say that's what I've been calling it. So
Yeah,
good.
I feel like I default to AI search because sometimes I say AEO and people are
Yeah.
like, "What are you talking
That's a little
about?"
hard. Yeah.
It's really a spectrum right now of where people are on the bell curve of learning about AI search, learning about all the change, getting up to speed, learning the new tools.
Mhm.
And I think there's some anxiety in general where marketers feel behind. I certainly have felt behind at certain points. How do you stay up to date? What do you do to stay informed about everything that's happening?
Yeah, I tinker. Like I'm a tinkerer, I think,
Yeah.
kind of by nature. And so like this morning, I spent like 3 hours in Claude Code.
Oh,
And so my background is in paid. I've managed SEO before Profound. I ran a small consulting business. Then before that, I was at Loom. I was Loom's head of growth marketing, and I built and scaled their SEO program.
nice,
And that was
nice.
before ChatGPT. So it was like me and Asana building out like a content calendar, hiring freelance writers, like doing
Yeah.
kind of like the whole thing. But my background isn't paid. And so
Yeah.
right now I'm using Claude Code to basically build my own internal mini like paid ads marketing agency
Cool.
where
Oh,
Claude
nice.
Code will control all of our Google Ads spend and send me proactive alerts of like this campaign's overspending, underspending, this keyword, this not. And so I think just like tinkering and building your own stuff
Best way
is
to do
truly
it.
the best way to kind
Yeah.
of
Just
stay
get in there.
ahead. And SEO has so much data. There's a Google Search Console like MCP now you can use.
Yes.
Screaming Frog is amazing. Profound has an API and an MCP. So you can do all of this stuff and
Yeah.
tinker and build the perfect thing for you. And there's
Yeah.
never been a
Yeah.
better time.
Yes, it's truly incredible what you can do. And I'm curious where the balance lies here. So to kind of go back to what we were talking about, like this idea of a marketing engineer and, they're building all these agents and managing all these agents for all these different stakeholder teams. I'm curious for like the offsite piece specifically. So when you're going into communities like Reddit or even social platforms like LinkedIn or, YouTube, how do you sort of think about balancing like having agents and systems manage very human pieces of the internet?
Yeah.
Ooh, good question.
Yeah, I think like again, my POV is that a human should always be in the loop.
Yeah.
Nothing should be fully automated. Like you see those really awful Twitter threads of like we replaced the CMO with an
Yes.
AI agent, and
Yes.
it's just like it does all this stuff for you, and it looks awful. Like
I know,
I would
it's like,
never
please
use.
stop.
Yeah.
Please don't.
I would never use any of those things. And so I think the right system always has a human in the loop. There was a customer at Profound I talked to who's doing lots of Reddit right now, and they've built a lot of internal systems around Reddit reporting, and all of it still relies on a human going and looking at content and being the final one who posts and like does the actual kind of commenting on it. But they almost made a like email inbox kind of UI that has all of the Reddit threads that they should comment on or like new Reddit posts that they should make.
Yeah.
And so it kind of was like a central hub
Yeah.
for all of their social Reddit content that was relevant to their business.
Yeah.
The most interesting thing they did is they built a graph of citation decay. So using Profound data, they would look at when they first saw a Reddit thread be cited, and then over weeks, months, when that would drop off the citations. And so they knew for their industry and their business, they knew that it was like about 3 months was how long it took a citation to fall off.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And so they built a whole system around it, but it was still a person whose whole job was to manage Reddit
Yeah.
for this company. And I think that's the right approach.
Yeah.
We've talked so much about brand, and I feel like I want to dig my heels into that a little bit. I feel like the brand piece can feel ambiguous at times where we talk about brand is so important. What does that actually mean? And I want to talk specifically about, yes, agentic AI is amazing. Claude is amazing. All these tools are so great. How important is it to nail down your brand kit, your voice, all these things so that these agents can go and do their job well, while also kind of evolving with the company as the product changes, as the organization itself changes, as the language that you and your customers use to talk about these things change? How do you stay up to date?
Yeah, and I think it's the like authority piece of it of brand. To be a good brand, you need to like speak from a place of authority, and I think that is true now as it always has been, and also authenticity as well. Especially on Reddit, Redditors are allergic to marketing. They're allergic to anything that just seems fishy in general. And so if you're going to engage in a place like that, especially from a branded account, which that customer I was just telling you about, all of that engagement was from their branded Reddit Reddit account, not a non-branded, not a
Right.
name, like their actual brand
Yep.
name was the Reddit handle on that. And so when your brand name is attached to it, you have to be authentic and kind of true to that voice. And so
Yeah.
I think that means you even more need a human in the loop to be the final almost arbiter kind of is this on brand for us or not?
Right.
And that becomes more important because the second that drops away, then your brand reputation falters. Maybe worst case, you get banned from a subreddit that's very key to your business. And so I think brand is kind of like the cornerstone of all of that.
Yeah. I think that's a strong case too for really brand becomes so important, but it also becomes a little bit riskier. I think at the same time, there's more at stake. So I do think that that's a strong case for keep a human in the loop, have there be oversight. Don't just build agents and then set them free. Make sure that you still have a finger on the pulse of what's happening and how you're showing up across the digital landscape, essentially.
The best person internally for SEOs to partner with is your product marketing teams.
Yes.
As a paid person, PMMs are my favorite people because I can't go bid on my competitors or make a competitive landing page or do anything in the space without a strong PMM foundation. We have 4 product marketers at Profound. Like literally half of our marketing team is product marketers, and it's the best. It's the best thing ever. And so if I ever need to go get a check on brand guidelines or messaging or positioning, there's 4 people I could go talk to and ask. And I think they'll be such a good partner for any SEO going forward.
And like, what new features do we have? How are we talking about these? How are our customers talking about these? And how can we mirror that language back? Lots of opportunity there for cross-pollination. So I love to hear that.
Let's talk a little bit about, I think, the scariest word in all of this, which is attribution. I think a lot of leaders out there are like, how do we, everything changes every day. Like you were talking about, like ChatGPT, it pulls in, recent stuff, everything changes. How can you even think about attribution in all of this?
I think it requires a mindset shift of SEO is kind of a performance channel with clicks and more clear conversions. AI search, AEOs, more of a brand channel. Now, back to our brand conversation. So I think if you're in B2B, you're the lucky one. I think if you're in B2C, it's much harder.
And different animal.
And
for sure.
Kind of why I say that is because in B2B, I'm a big advocate of the how did you hear about us question. I think that is something we have that in B2C is much less common. And so like on our contact sales forum, I forced everyone to fill out this question. And I'm opinionated. I want it to be open-ended, required, and have at least 5 characters in it. So you can't just type like X or A or something. You have to tell me where you found us. And I did an analysis, last year that looked at how many people with UTMs came from AI search and then submitted a lead. And for us, it was about 3% of leads were attributed to AI search. And then when you add in the how did you hear about us question, that number jumps to 15% of our total leads of people telling me I found you on chat or Gemini or Perplexity. And our business, we over-index a bit because AI search is our business. I've seen like 7 to 10% is kind of a more realistic benchmark there. But unless you ask that question and look at the data, you'll never know. And so I think that's one thing every B2B brand should be doing. And I'm shocked at how many people don't do that.
That's a good tip.
And
I like that a
even
lot.
starting that as a baseline today, like imagine how much more that's going to keep jumping up as more people adopt this as
start
their
using it.
Initial behavior.
It's so helpful because then if I go on podcasts or go to events, I also get attribution there too. So it's not just AI search, you get all this other rich source of information. And then people ask me, well, how do you analyze all the responses if it's open-ended? You use AI
of course.
to do it. And you have ChatGPT or Claude or whatever bucket all of your responses. It can connect to HubSpot now and pull out and do it automatically for you. And so there's no reason not to.
Love that. Yeah, there's a lot of fear about losing the clicks, and the clicks are down because people are getting their answers from the summary or whatever, but I feel like that's a great solve, so I hope more people start doing that.
Do y'all remember what the last thing you asked GPT was?
So many questions all day long.
I ask it lots of shopping things. I do a lot of early research on ChatGPT, and I give it very specific prompts of like, I'm a guy who lives in Brooklyn who likes like these kind of pants, like help me find something like this, because I've been frustrated with Googling something similar and not getting the results I wanted. And I
Yeah.
found that chat or Claude is much better at helping me
Yep.
like take the specific request I have and find products that are better suited
Yeah.
for me. And so I think that's a good news for brands and
Yeah.
companies too, is that you get hyper specific detailed searches. And
Yeah.
if you show up for someone like me who is desperately looking for like new black pants with
Yeah.
side pockets and like specific features,
Yes.
like
Yeah.
I'm going to go buy those because that's exactly what I want.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think
High
conversion rates go
context,
higher.
100%
Yeah.
conversion rate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. It's funny that you say the shopping thing because I was looking for clothing in a very specific color code, like a Pantone.
Okay.
And so I put it into Claude, and the results that it gave me were great. I bought 3 things. So
Okay.
That's incredible. Wait,
what
so like,
can't to do?
what do you remember? What Pantone color?
I don't remember I need to have it memorized. It's the color that I'm trying to reinforce for my new branding. It's a very pretty electric blue.
Okay.
But it's very hard to find through just an organic Google search. So I popped it into Claude and gave me things right off the bat.
Such a good idea.
That's a great idea.
I
Color
know.
coordinating your clothes with the brand.
Yeah. It's
that you're
easy. It's a
building.
color that I like, but it's also kind of hard to find. It's an
Yeah.
unusual color.
Yeah.
So, yeah. B2C use case right there.
What does this mean for keyword research? You know,
Yeah.
Good question.
we're getting
Yeah,
so
good one.
specific. We're getting everything is so personalized. How can you even do keyword strategy anymore?
Yeah, I think it's becoming more like topic strategy
Yeah.
instead. So less about individual keywords. And like I pulled the reports from keyword tools of like you have search volume for, I don't know, like men's shoes and then like men's running shoes and like men's shoe, all these kind of different variations. I think all of that's kind of collapsing into a topic basis.
Yeah.
That's kind of one area I think SEOs are kind of misstepping in the world of AI search, is trying to take their like heuristics from SEO and keywords in particular and kind of copy paste them over
Right.
to
Yeah.
AEO, because even if you type the same prompt into AI search every day or every hour, you'll get a slightly different response, whereas that was much different in Google land. And so I think
Yeah.
from a topical perspective, understanding that stuff is important, and using like voice of customer data,
Yes.
gong calls, emails, web
Yes.
forms, any
Yeah.
feedback you get from prospects, like using that to turn into what topics or prompts you track. I think that's still the gold standard
Yeah.
of what to do. And
Totally.
keyword tracking and research is maybe like less of a thing now.
Yeah. It really takes me back to the early days of when I was a copywriter, and it would be like, go to Amazon and look at the testimonials and the reviews and mine the customer language. And now with AI, you can do that so much faster and easier.
Uh-huh.
And then just use that in your copy, in your blog posts, in your content. There's so many opportunities like that now. So yeah, I think there's just a bigger push now and a bigger reason for people to lean into really gathering that information. I think sometimes we get very locked in with, this is how we talk about the product. This is how we want to position it. But also, how do the people who are searching for it, how do they talk about it?
Yeah.
And how do we integrate that?
Yeah. One thing I wish more marketers did, and this is me being a bit biased in that I'm a marketer who works at a company that sells to marketers, is sit on sales calls.
Yes.
Ideally, you take the sales call yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
You run the demo, you ask the questions, you run through the whole product, you get feedback. I say that because I did that for about 8 weeks at Profound.
Oh, wow.
I took 70 demos, and it was part of
Whoa.
necessity. We had too many leads and
Oh, well.
not enough salespeople.
problem.
And so
Yeah.
I just literally put myself in the round robin, didn't ask for permission. I just did this thing and started
Nice.
taking sales calls. And my CEO was like, Nick, what are you doing? I'm like, this is the best thing I've done since I've been here, because you
Yeah.
get such immediate feedback from prospects of, is your messaging landing?
Yeah.
If you can ask people, how'd you hear about us?
Yeah.
And so on the call, I would literally ask my how'd you hear about us question. And if they said ChatGPT, I would ask them, can you show me the prompt? Can you
Ooh.
screen share and show me
wow.
what you, and
Fun.
people would happily show how they
Yeah.
found you and where they came from. It's just so
Interesting.
enlightening. And I think more marketers should do that if you in a place that sells to marketers too.
Yeah. There's a strong case for just being very curious right now.
Oh,
There's so
yeah.
much to learn.
Yeah.
So hopping in and putting yourself in a position like that, I feel like is a marketer's best trait right now. If you can be super curious and willing to just try things, you can learn so much.
Well, Nick, we don't want to monopolize all of your time in Austin. So I so appreciate you coming to
Yes,
do
thank you
this.
so
This has
much.
been so fun. And final question for all of our marketing leaders out there who may be wondering, how do I even just get started with this?
Yeah.
What would you say to them?
Yeah. I would hope at this point some of them have gotten started
Yeah.
already, to be honest.
If you haven't, start now.
If you haven't
Yeah.
started already, I think step one is just figure out what prompts that you think you should show up for, and then just go type those into ChatGPT, build a simple spreadsheet that kind of tracks your visibility, how often you're mentioned, you get cited, yes or no. Or if you're a CMO or VP of marketing, like give this to a more junior person
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah.
And just like understand where you are. I think everyone that we talk to now is they get the value of visibility and analytics, and everyone is now shifting to a world where they want to understand, what do you do with all of this data? Help me build
Right.
systems or tooling that can help not only take our visibility, but then scale and make changes to the website more automatically or agentically. And so
Right.
Yeah.
this is my time to plug Profound. Like
Yeah, of
this
course,
is
of
this is what we're
course.
building. And so
Yeah.
today we just came out with Profound Sheets, which is a way of taking all the agents and systems you can build in Profound and scale them. So imagine a spreadsheet where every row is a blog post. You can import this into Profound very easily or pull it from your citation data, and then make a column that runs an agent that makes an FAQ for every single blog post automatically via an agent that does a deep research, like multi-step workflow, and then another column that will then send it to your CMS, like Webflow, WordPress, Contentful, Sanity, stage those changes for you. And so that's the future that we're building, is one where we give marketers superpowers to where you can do more with less. And so that's
We
what
say
we're
that
So
all the
fun.
time.
I
We're always like,
know.
I feel like I have superpowers.
Truly.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
amazing.
It's pretty overwhelming. I'm like, I don't know how to stop because it's so fun. Like, this is fun.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, everybody, if you don't already, I'm sure you do, please go follow Nick on LinkedIn, the LinkedIn guy himself. But thank you again
Yeah,
for
thank you so much.
hanging out.
Yeah.
And we'll see you guys later.